We are back with another episode, Credit Repair series with Tamari's story.
Hey, Omar, thanks for having me.
Let's move on to something I really want to talk and do a deep dive on. And I'm going to read it off here. It's about balance transfers. So, how do balance transfers affect my credit score?
That's a great question. So, balance transfers, in terms of your score, it just really depends on where the money's coming from. Meaning, if all of the accounts are on your credit report and you're taking balance transfers, now what I would look at first is what specific account, if any, are over 100% utilization. Because if you're going to balance, you have the ability to balance transfer. If you have one particular card that's 100% utilized or over, then I would focus on that account first. Or if you have multiple accounts that are 100% or over, because in terms of your credit, that's an extra shock to your credit that's going to drop your score even lower, and that's without having any lates or anything like that. That's just you're more of a risk to lenders, and so that there's an algorithm where the algorithm's going to spit out, hey, you're more of a risk than if you're at 75% or if you're at 10%. So at the end of the day, I would focus on those accounts that are over 100%, if any. Now, that would ultimately that will be a really good strategy if you're wanting to know how it affects your credit. So I would look at your credit report and see that first. Another way of thinking about balance transfers is, you're taking literally money from one account and putting it on another. And so think about your total utilization. If it's the same, that's fine, which is even more reason why you should look at the accounts that are higher utilization, like 100% or over. Now, in terms of like money paid to the bank, that's also something that I would look at, because the strategy should be putting more money in your account than the bank's account if you can help it. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you have a 0% credit card and versus an 18% credit card that's maybe utilization is high, maybe you want to pay that one down to zero, just because by doing that, you're putting that money that you're transferring on a 0% versus an 18% per se. And so those are a couple different ways of looking and analyzing your credit report. Remember, we talked about last week, the first step is really understanding what accounts that you have, what is the balance to limit ratio on each account, what interest are you paying on each account. I would even go as far as saying write that down. Write that down. I'm a visual person, so when I write that down on paper, I can see all the accounts. I know what the balance date is, or the ending date of the balance. I know what date that is, and then I also know what date my due date is, and so that's going to influence your utilization, knowing those dates, and paying that credit card down before that date, which could influence what cards you pay for, because you may be looking at a credit card that you've already paid down, but since the timing of when it reported, it could throw you off. So writing it down and then really understanding where your cards are, because then you can like strategically map out what cards you're going to pay down, what cards are most important to you, which cards you want reward points on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So by paying a card down, you want to know what benefits you're getting. So I would say the education. This is where the education piece comes in. Obviously, if you're a client, we walk you through that. But if you're watching this video, or maybe if you have questions, put them in the chat, because at the end of the day, we can help you as far as sort it out. But if you can take some information from this and it helps you, that's why this platform, and that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Mm. So balance transfers, if you're trying to take advantage of those promotional like 0% offers for like 18, 24 months, they're good. Maybe if you have one or two credit cards that you're trying to consolidate, but if you have several lines of credit and you're looking at balance transfers as a way to, pay no interest and get a little caught up, that's when it can get a little bit then there's better strategies to be had at that point. That's what I'm hearing. Is that right, Tamari?
Yeah, that's correct. And really understanding when you're making these moves, what's going to affect your credit versus what's going to correct, what your how your credit's going to be affected, and then also financially, how is it going to affect you? Financially and credit are two different things. Because we talk about utilization all the time because the bank or the algorithms, I should say, they want to know that you're borrowing money and you're paying it back ultimately. So paying all your cards off to zero won't necessarily help your credit, but if it helps your financially, it helps you because maybe you're not trying to apply for anything, so you don't really need to optimize your credit, and you want to pay down all your cards so you don't have any expenses. So now we're really talking about putting money back in your pocket financially. So now you may be able to, pay for that daycare where you're not having to pay interest to the bank, and so really making those two things very two distinct different things, but they collectively work together based off of your lifestyle and how you've designed your life. So at each move you're strategically making versus just paying cards off randomly. You're really sitting down, you're mapping out a plan, you're writing all those cards down, and then that's really where you can make that educated decision on whether that balance transfer, how to leverage that to where it best fits you and your life at that time.
That is really comforting to know that there's people out there, businesses that care and have like a couple of strategies to implement to help you. Because I know, and I'm speaking really to myself here, being super independent, being having that kind of mindset of like, hey, I could figure it out on my own, which is great. I think that's very beneficial in a lot of aspects of your life. But there comes a time when you need to ask for help, especially when it comes to things you just don't know that much of. And credit repair is a topic that I do not know much of. I've learned a lot since we've been doing these, but uh, I have to. You have to really think to yourself, I need help, and get past that ego, get past the feeling of shame and embarrassment because it is you are being vulnerable in the sense like, hey, I messed up. I have my credit cards are in the thousands of dollars and I can't pay it back, and now you feel like you're stuck and there's nowhere to go, but and you can't, and there's no one here to help. But if you're watching this, Tamari and we will be there. We'll be there. But you have to make the first move. You have to pick up the phone. You have to give us a call. Let's schedule a virtual consultation. Let's do something because these are all solvable problems. This is what we do. This is what Tamari does, and he does it very well.
No, and Omar, just seeing you work and how much you really bring value to people, your clients, the veterans community. It's exciting to be on your team, man. I just want to let you know that it's exciting because at the end of the day, we're helping people, we're giving back to the community, we're making a living doing it. We're doing good work, and at the end of the day, what I found with credit, since everybody's going to be a little bit different, it's really important to really just to understand everybody's journey and where they're going. And the only way that we're going to know is if people tell us or people tell us their story. And usually the credit report normally tells a story. I can look at a credit report and say, and I can just see like something happened in 2022 because there was like three missed payments back to back to back, and then the rest was fine. Or there's a lot of medical collections, and I could tell that maybe there was maybe like a sometime they got sick or they went to the hospital or they were in an accident. And so hearing people's story will ultimately, and having empathy for their story and understanding of their story allows us to really build them up in terms of having a plan and having some hope and having some guidance on and saying, hey, whatever happened in the past, that's over with. We're here where we are. This is a baseline that we can go off of as far as the status quo, and then ultimately we can build a plan that's a custom plan, right? And when we hear that story, when people reach out to us and they ask for help, by just letting us their story, we're already automatically hearing someone's story. You're drawn to help them. You're drawn to bring in resources that are going to help them accomplish some of the things that they want to do. And you know, these are we're talking to business owners, we're talking to doctors, lawyers, we're talking to, you know, people that run their own business, you know, mechanic shops, real estate investors, realtors. We have realtors. There's a lot of realtors that we literally help, because most realtors, they may, not most realtors, I'm sorry, but realtors in general, oftentimes, you know, they're really good at selling houses, but mortgage lenders are more in depth in terms of the credit report. So I feel like the education that we are able to give, it's we're spreading it out only to the clients. Sometimes we're educating the realtor, because you got to realize realtors sell houses, mortgage lenders pull credit reports, and we all work together, right? So
Mhm.
oftentimes a realtor, or I mean, like 90% of the time, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they don't even see the credit report. They
Yeah.
just know, hey, do they qualify? Do they not? What are they missing? You know, and then, but the lender, typically they pull the credit report up, and then they're telling, you know, whether the client, whether they get approved or not. So now, having a team of people that, like, I'm a believer in stay in my lane, right? So I don't ever give lending advice. I don't ever give, you know, property advice in terms of like selling a property, because I'm not licensed to do that. And so I'm a consultant with credit, and I focus on that. And but I know, like, if I have a client that's looking to buy a house, I'm saying, hey, call Omar, you know, and you're a veteran too. Hey, tell your friends to call Omar that are veterans as well, or any home buyer, call Omar, because I know you take the time, and you're not just trying to get a sale. You want a relationship with these people. So when they think of credit, when they think of buying a house, when they think of investment property, you're or any kind of anything to do with real estate, your name and your face and your everything and your content, that pops up in their head, and they call you.
Hmm.
And when you take care of people like that, then that's just naturally what's going to happen, because let's be honest, most people, they don't, you know. And so it makes, you know, referrals are the best way to say thank you, and say that, hey, I did a good job, if someone gives a referral. And we've both built our business on referrals, because we take the time to listen to people's story, and then hearing their story helps us help them. They're
Hmm.
literally telling us how to help them in the story. So we're taking notes the whole time, and they're wondering probably why we're taking notes, but we're already strategically putting the plan together, that the more they tell us, the more information they give us, now we can help them.
That's such a huge part of it, right? Especially in this kind of topic, right? Is listening with an empathetic ear. That way you can understand where they're coming from and the story that you see in front of you. Because I'm sure you've seen so many credit reports at this point. Like it's very, you can probably in less than 5 minutes be able to figure out there's something that happened because something changed. Let's talk about it. Because at the end of the day, you are not alone. And when you told me doctors and business owners, I was like, man, usually you think these are very successful people, but they too ran into a bit of trouble, right? So it's like you are not alone, and you're not you're not a bad person, or you know unworthy of help. That's a big one, unworthy of help.
Right, and you'd be surprised, Omar. There's a lot of clients, you know. There, it's we get them when we sit down in the consultation. They have such a weight that's been holding them back from taking charge, and somehow, some way, they were able to get to it, because most of our clients come from mortgage lenders and realtors, right? And so when we get referred, and when they get referred us, we're listening to that story, and when they tell that story, they they get it all out, to where, like, now the empathy that comes in, there's that piece, but then there's also the piece of, like, knowing that, hey, I have a plan now. So there's an excitement that comes from that, because before they're like, oh man, I'm done, you know, I can't
Yeah.
qualify, so it's a no. It may be a no now, but I don't know, if you put a plan together, it could be a yes if we all just, you know, we're transparent with each other, and we're able to work as a team because it's teamwork. And it's I'm not trying to say it's easy because I feel like nothing in life is easy, but you put some work into what you really want to do and what you really want to accomplish. We talked about that, a couple weeks ago. Like a muscle, you go to the gym and you just set these little small plans every day, and these small wins they equate to big wins. And so there may be some initial work that you have to put in. I call it homework for the clients.
Mm-hmm.
You do your homework, and you'll get a good grade on the test. The more you do it and you take time and you understand what you're doing, then that's how you ace that test. Because the cool thing about the test is it's your life, and you know yourself and your life more than anybody else does. And so by you telling your story, we can help you with that narrative. We can help you get to the finish line. The more that we know, and by bringing us together collectively, it's always better than doing it by yourself. I mean, let's just be honest. When you have a team of people that are really down for you and they really want to see you win, they really want to see you get in that house, or they really want to see you start that business, or they really want to see you being successful, then it's like, all right, well, I have multiple people, and then they're all helping me, and that's the collaborative effort environment that we give to the clients.
We were kind of talking a little bit offline in the realm of like for business owners, especially for realtors who are just getting started. I know I am talking from personal experience that when I first started my business, I was using a lot of my personal credit to get started, and unbeknownst to me, you're saying like that is not the best way to go about that because you're putting your personal credit on the line, and there's a whole realm of business credit that we haven't even that I don't even know enough about. Can you speak on that a little bit more?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that question, Omar. At the end of the day, when you're running a business, you want to keep your business credit profile and your personal credit profile separate, right? And that's the whole idea. So if you're a sole proprietor, that the layer of protection, you don't really have a layer of protection. You're everything's gonna. You're still responsible, as it says in the title, the sole proprietor. Only you are the layer of protection. So your personal assets are exposed. And so when you create an entity like an LLC or a C Corp or a S Corp based off of what you're trying to accomplish, and you set that up correctly, then now there's layers of protection for you, not only for your assets, but also your credit is protected as well. Because when you're setting up your credit and you're oftentimes, I'll talk to a client and they're running their business with their personal credit cards, and so now think about utilization. They're paying it off, they're maxing it out. Those are two places you don't want to be. But if you have a business credit card, now you can take that, you build your business credit up. That's what we teach our clients that are business owners, and we help them build their entities up to where like now they're building business credit just like they're building personal credit. And so you have your social security number tied to your personal credit, and then you also have your EIN number tied to your business credit. And so those are separate. And so at the end of the day, by separating those, now that layer of protection that the corporate veil, we like to call it. And so based off of that person's goals, what their business goals are, now we can help them set up their different entities and maybe subsidiaries of one. Oftentimes, companies like, let's call them Walmart, or Wells Fargo. They have subsidiaries to and then Walmart might just be their DBA. So they're operating
Mm-hmm.
on their entity that you don't even know the name of unless you did some research on the company that you're dealing with, that you put your money in their bank account every day or you shop every day. You'll be surprised what their entity name is versus their doing business as name is, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so they know, especially big companies, they know how to build. They have advisors and they have financial advisors that help them build that out. And so why not, if you're starting your business or you're running a business, Why not do the same thing? Why not set it up so you're going to win based off of what you're doing? And it all comes down to what line of work you're in. There's an NIAC code, and so that what code you basically like, that's going to be attached to your industry. There's a lot of different things of knowing like LOC versus C corp versus S corp versus
Yeah.
nonprofit. So what we do is we try to simplify that, and it comes back to what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? And the more notes that we take, and then we actually have financial advisors on our team to where if we don't know, just like we do with the real estate side of things, just like we do on the mortgage side of things, we can send them the right places and help them along the way to build their entity.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I was so naive to think that credit repair only applied to people, like people like me, or on the personal side of credit, or if you're a W-2 employee, not for like the business owners and the LLC corporations. I'm like, of course, why wouldn't there be? Business is and personal. They both have credit lines of credit, but it just never occurred to me, right? Wow.
Absolutely. And you mentioned W two. Now imagine if you're a W two employee
Hmm.
and you have your business, right? And so the cool thing about having your own business is you can write off pretty much. There's so many things you can write off, like your gas. You can write off entertainment. You take your wife's, and you're meeting on business, or you meet up with a business partner, and you have a $100 meal. You can write that off, on your taxes,
Hmm.
or you travel somewhere, so your flight, your meals, your rental car, all of those things that if as long as you're doing business when you're traveling, when you get to your destination, that's a business expense that you can actually get, a write off on taxes. Which, when you think about that, imagine if you're a sole prop and you're doing all those things and you're not or maybe you don't even have an entity and you're doing all those things anyway, and you're not being able to tap into all those write-offs that you're able to have. And so you know the best thing is to always talk to a tax professional when it comes to
Hmm.
strategically how to best, or an accountant, the best way that's going to help you. But we're here to help as far as starting that, or engaging you in that, because the more information we know about what you're trying to do, the better we can help.
Wow. Wow. Drop like a comment or a like if you want to see more content on coming like from the business owner perspective side. Because is there a way that you could somehow use either your business credit or your personal credit to help build the other one in any way? Is there strategies for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the main strategies that we talk to clients about is, positioning yourself to where you can be the personal guarantor for your business, because what better? I mean, if you believe in your business, what better representative is for you to co-sign for your business, to say my business is good, and if anything happens, I'm willing to take responsibility. And so being that person, qualifying as a personal guarantor, if that, most lenders, they require that, especially nowadays with our economic climate and where we're at. Most lenders are going to be asking for somebody to personally guarantee the loan. And so having your personal credit in order allows you to be the personal guarantor if you get approved. And then while you're buying things, like maybe you buy a car, maybe you buy a house, maybe whatever appliances that you have. I mean, not appliances, but whatever electrical bill that you have, you can actually have those items report to your business credit. And so those line items, just like you build your personal credit up, now you're the guarantor. Now that kind of catapulted you to be able to build your business credit that way. Now, that's one of the basic ways that you'll see most common. Some situations, lenders they'll say, hey, no personal guarantor or no PG. And so if there's a no PG situation, then you have the opportunity to use like net 30 accounts like Quill, like Granger, Uline, right? And so you create those accounts with those companies, and now you're able to build business credit that way by you know getting a product on. You have 30 days to pay, and then once you pay it, now they report that to the business credit bureau, like Dun and Bradstreet, right? And
Mm.
so, in personal credit, we have Experian, we have TransUnion, we have Equifax. Well, on the business side, Dun and Bradstreet is one of the biggest business credit reporting agencies where you have what's called a Paydex score. And an 80 Paydex score is the equivalent of like a 700 personal score, right? And so imagine having a personal credit score with the 80 Paydex score, and now you go to a lender, you're going in strong now, and so and understanding how both of those work is only going to put yourself in the best position to win.
Wow. Wow, man. You're putting us on because that I learned that for the very first time in my life. That's pretty cool to know, man. Information can be super powerful once it finally clicks in your head. Wow, that is pretty cool. Pretty cool, man. I think we will get into another little series just focusing on like how business credit works.
You'll be surprised on how often, and even in real estate, that people like myself, we'll get an LLC just for the purchase of that project or that house, and the people that are involved. It's ultimately going to dictate who you put on that LLC. Are you a sole member? Are there multiple partners or members? So at the end of the day, it's just it's good information because again, when you look at what you're trying to accomplish, imagine an entity, imagine a trust, imagine working in that realm of trust entities. Then you have separate of all that your personal credit, and
Hmm.
so it's these are all strategies and using financial instruments like life insurance policies. Infinite banking is something that we have to talk about because it's how we can be our own bank. At the end of the day, so that conversation and talking to a licensed professional that's really good at structuring that, is something that we definitely advocate because at the end of the day, that's going to help based off of again their goals. That's going to help them in the long run. So the long play is what we like to talk about when you and I get together.
Hmm.
Oftentimes people get uh, so caught up in the short play. You
Hmm.
know, next year, next month, next week, because you know oftentimes people are living paycheck to paycheck, so it's kind of hard not to think about that. Let's be honest. But when you can think and have some solutions to the short play, and then we give you that long play vision of like, hey, let's get you taken care of the short term stuff, but what about the intermediate stuff? What about the long term stuff? And so
Yeah.
having that conversation will allow us to really bring to life what the client wants,
Mm.
and what they're trying to do. We can bring that to life the more we know what they're looking for.
Mm. Mm. Man, that is so good. That's good stuff right there. Okay, we're gonna start wrapping things up. I'm gonna leave a way to contact us in the description. You're gonna have our phone numbers. You're gonna have a way to link up with us. So if you need to do a virtual call, because you're not in the same state or same time zone, we can work all that out. But that's how you get started. That is the very next step to this journey is reaching out. And if phone call or a virtual call makes more sense, let's make it happen. That way we can hear what your story is so we can come up with the game plan, come up with the strategy. Think of how much better you will sleep that night with one phone call because it's been in the back of your mind. You've been like putting it off because you don't want to you don't want to just pull the trigger and just bite the bullet on this one. I know it's hard, but this thing of how much better because when you said we're gonna come up with a strategy and this thing, I mean to me I felt like because you just unburdened me, when I've been thinking about this for so many months now, so that's all it takes. Setting up a call so we can come up with the game plan. And hey, you're not alone, and everything is overcomable. We can overcome it together.
Absolutely. And every week we're going to just keep showing up and showing out, giving you
Yeah.
as much information as possible, and just being a part of the community, part of the solution, and that's all we're talking about. We're being part of the solution and giving uh, tips and tricks, and ways where you can, just help yourself, and that's the first step. In any situation, knowing that you can help yourself is very empowering, and so that's what we're here to do: give you solutions to some of the problems that may lie in front of you.
Yes, and yes, tag a friend. If you watch this and you got some value out of it, tag a friend and then put the time of where it really hits you. Like this was really good, so we can start. So you can start spreading some awareness and education on your end too, because that's how we all help each other at the end of the day. I think that's the beauty. That's how I see social media is that if people are putting good content out there that is of value, and we can instantly share it with folks, you know, and especially if it came across you and you have a friend that needs to hear this. So I think that's a beautiful part of all this video stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate every time you give me opportunity to come on the platform. It means a lot, and I really thank you, Omar.
Tamari, you are a pleasure to work with. Your commitment and consistency is above reproach. I mean, I look forward. I know we keep saying that because it's nice to work with somebody that cares as much as you know I do, and that shows up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm gonna keep showing up and showing out with you.
All right, good deal, good deal. All right, Tamari. Until next time, have a great week, and let's finish strong.
You as well. Thank you.
I really want to say first of all why we keep showing up and doing these kind of credit repair series on YouTube, so we can just spread education, especially from me, right? So many times I work with a lot of first time home buyers, and the biggest hurdle for them is trying to get pre-approved and pre-approved with a rate and terms that make sense and that they can actually get into the home. And more often than not, they made a few mistakes early on in life, maybe got a car that was a little bit over their budget, or something happened, right? Especially the last few years, inflation, the the cost of living has just been skyrocketing. Everybody, I heard a statistic today that 4 out of 5 Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, right? So chances are somebody you meet on the street is probably struggling right now. So I know when you're in that mindset of like, man, you feel like you're in this hole. How do you get out? There are people out there that care and have services with reputable businesses that want to help. And when Tamari and I first connected, that's what we really kind of bonded over was like, hey, we really want to help people because we see what the end goal is already with home ownership and the generational wealth building you could do from that. And there's just so many strategies you could do, but it all starts with fixing your credit.
I remember how we all met. We both met. And we talked about our intentions, and it was on both sides helping people, because at the end of the day, home ownership is one of the things that's going to be probably for most families one of the biggest investments of their life. And so to be a part of that and to have some type of influence, whether it's education or whether it's opening up some doors and some avenues based off what their goals are, I feel like that's why that's why I'm in it. Being able to see that picture of the homeowner with the keys in their hand, and that smile on their face. It's amazing. And so we came together also to help veterans, because they get. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of veterans don't kind of get a fair shake when you think about you guys put your life on the line for our country, and then some of the benefits of just saying, hey, thank you for your service, versus like being able to have some action and some thank you, as far as like, hey, maybe doing credit repair for free, or maybe like setting the plan up, or maybe the education piece, whatever it may be. like just from us putting this together, we've we've put ourselves in position to help people, and by helping people, we're giving them a platform and a voice, and that makes me feel good. I know it makes you feel good as well,
Hmm.
because by doing by taking home ownership or maybe running a business, and then you put that credit piece in there, that could oftentimes that's the common denominator of what's missing. It's like you have this, but where's your credit? You know, or you might have credit, but you're missing the real estate agent, or you have the real estate agent and credit, but you don't have the loan professional.
Mm.
So at the end of the day, what makes me excited is helping others and helping them with their plan, because you can have aspirations in life, but if you don't have a plan that fits, it makes it daunting and challenging, and you know not a fun experience. And so what I like about what we're doing is we're making it fun. We're openly talking about strategies where the everyday person can take advantage of, and they can implement, so they win at the end of the day.
Mm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we're a team. We're a team at the end of the day. So, hey, usually if you are on this journey to buy a home, you need to talk to somebody in credit repair, in real estate agent, or a lender, or any of the other affiliates. Like that's the part of working with people who see it that way. We're a team. We're on. We all have our part to play to get help you achieve your end goals.
Yeah, and another thing that I've noticed since we've started with these episodes is I found that the spoken word is so powerful when we're talking about helping vets. Like I'm getting calls. Like the other day, I talked to my business partner in the assisted living space, where he's converting, hotels into senior living care
Mm-hmm.
facilities, and and he's saying, I asked him what his initiative was for 2024. He said helping veterans. And he's teamed up with the VA that's local to him, and he has a disabled veteran that's his business partner, right? And so that's just and that's just one example of, since we put it in the universe as far as what we're doing and what our initiatives are in terms of helping veterans and helping homeowners and helping people in general. It's amazing how powerful the spoken word is, because now opportunities are coming where we can help others, where we're putting it positivity in the air, and
Mm.
then we're getting people that need help. And so it's funny in a good way how that works.